different cars serve different purposes. We have the third-party insurance, I mentioned about it, and then we have comprehensive. So you need to log in into their NTSA Teams portal account. So it's something that's very important, and it's something that you really need to consider. I've seen so many people go wrong with actually getting to buy their car in Kenya. And most of the people who have the biggest problems are the people who are actually buying their first cars in Kenya. So today I want to take you step by step on the right processes that you should follow before you actually buy a car in Kenya. The first thing that you should do, define your purpose, why you are buying a car. Define the purpose. Define the purpose. That should be the first thing that you actually need to think of whenever you're actually coming to the process of buying a car in Kenya. Know if it's a car for business. Is it a car for Uber? Is it a car for PSV? Is it a car for family use? Is it a car from taking your goods from point A to point B? Because different cars serve different purposes. And I've seen many people buy cars without defining the purpose. They rush too fast in buying the car, and then later on they actually come to know that the car they bought is not in line with the purpose of why they intended to buy the car. For example, very good example, Uber cars or business cars are supposed to be fuel efficient cars. You cannot tell me you'll take a 3000cc car and go put it into a business that earns you 1,000, 2,000 Kenya shillings going forward. So you definitely need to identify the purpose of why you're buying the car. So know if it's a business car, if it's a business car, it's a personal car, if it's a logistic car, and going on forward. So this is the first thing that you need to do. Define the purpose of why you're actually getting to buy the car, and this one comes in before you think of if you want a Mazda, a Prado, a Pajero, all those kind of brands, depending on the one that you actually like. You need to define the purpose of why you really want to buy the car. Number 2, set a realistic budget. Set a realistic budget. Budget, not just the purchase price, not just the PC, that is the purchase price, but your budget should be based on car price. What's the car price that you're buying? What is the cost of insurance? What is the cost of insurance? What are the transfer fees? Because whenever you're getting to transfer this vehicle from you, the owner of the car, to the other person, there are some fees that the government will charge you to transfer the car. The other thing you need to consider is what are the charges for fuel consumption of this car. Fuel consumption. And remember, I told you the bigger the cc, the more it consumes fuel. The smaller the cc or the smaller engine capacity, the less it actually consumes fuel. And the last thing is, what are the maintenance cost? Maintenance cost of this particular car. So you need to set a realistic budget of the purchase price. PC is purchase price, and these need to be based on what is the car price. And for example, if you want to buy a car, this is where you should start it on. If your budget is 1 million Kenyan shillings, 1 million, then if your budget of buying the car in Kenya, after you identify the purpose, you set a realistic budget of the purchase price. If your budget of buying this whole thing of the car is 1 million, then you should buy the car at 900,000 Kenyan shillings, so that you're left with 100,000 Kenyan shillings. That then helps you service this whole other. When it comes to the insurance, and the insurance is usually done based on the value of the car. We will do a separate video to show you how much the insurance company value your car, and how much, what really defines or determines how they actually charge you for the insurance, on how you pay. And also we'll do a video on explaining the type of insurance and which is best for you based on what kind of car you're driving and the purpose of the car. So anyway, so if your budget is 1 million for this whole process, then the car you're buying should not exceed 900,000, so that you're left with 100,000 that will come in for insurance, for the vehicle transfer. The insurance is usually around 50 to 60,000. That is on we call it not the third party. We have two types of insurances. We have the third party, then we have the comprehensive one. The comprehensive one is a bit more expensive. I'll do a video to explain exactly everything about insurance. So the thing you need to do for insurance, let's say for example, if it's third party, that's around 10,000. If it's comprehensive, that's around 50 to 60,000. Then the transfer fees, some of them are 3,500, 3,500 Kenyan shillings. Then for other cars, from around 6,000, 6,500 Kenyan shillings. What determines the transfer fee again here? These fees go to the e-citizen, to the government portal, is the size of the engine of the car. The bigger the size of the engine of the car, the more amount of money you pay whenever you're actually getting to do the vehicle transfer. Something else is fuel consumption. This one I have mentioned it again. The bigger the engine capacity, the more fuel it actually consumes. The smaller the engine capacity of a car, the lesser fuel it actually consumes. But now, for the kind of purpose, it will actually help you to determine, do you need a car with a big engine? Because for the Uber cars and the taxi cars, you need a car with a very small engine. That's why you hear the Suzuki Alto, the Daihatsu Mira, the Toyota Passo, the Toyota Vitz, and the Demios, and all those other smaller tiny cars that are actually used in Uber have the smallest of the smallest of the smallest engine, because you're looking at that car is not carrying heavy loads. So most definitely a bigger engine with more power will be useless. But for cars that are actually in the purpose of like carrying or failing heavy loads, this one will need a bigger engine. But now that is why we will come and advise, is it petrol or diesel, which one really suits that car best. So anyway, the last thing is the maintenance cost. This one necessarily here comes in with the brand. Is it a Toyota? Is it a Prado? Is it a Mercedes? If it's a Daihatsu Mira, is it a what? Based on what it's doing, maintenance now here depends on the brand and the type of car. So this one under the 1 million should be able to cater for all of these. And many people fail at only the price of the car, the PC, the purchasing price. Someone tells you, I'm selling a car at 600,000 Kenyan shillings. You only have 600,000 Kenyan shillings and you end up buying the car. That way you'll be on a big mess, because you won't have the insurance amount, you won't have the transfer amount, you won't have the fuel even for fueling that car, moving it from where you bought the car, and then you won't have the money to maintain that car. Because when you talk about maintenance, the moment you buy the car, before you start driving it on your own, you need to start with your own service, something that we highly advise here at Terava Motors, and then you start counting it as from there. The third thing you actually identify is knowing that, do you need a new car or locally used car? Locally used car. These ones we call them pre-owned cars in Kenya. A new car is a car that is coming from another country and it's being brought to this country, and you will be the first person to own this car. And then a locally used car, these are cars that locally used cars, these are cars that someone has owned here in Kenya, and now most definitely they are actually selling out their car, or they are actually upgrading their car. Now that is why you actually get to you buy the locally used cars. But now they come with the pros and cons. In the locally used cars, they are always available. You want to buy the car today, you can be able to access the car today, go see it there, and you can even actually get to make the final decision. And then of course, there's usually risk in hidden cost. The car might have issues because you're buying it here locally. So that means that the person who have been using it, maybe they're actually selling it because it has issues. So you also need to be very much aware about that. Yakata. Cleaner condition, higher cost, waiting times. Cleaner condition, higher cost. Atuendelee. So, and then now when you come to new cars, they're usually in cleaner conditions, because most of them are usually used in Japan for very low mileages, or actually others are even usually 0 mileage 100%. And then this one is a bit expensive. This one is expensive. For these ones, it's very expensive for people there, because the cars are usually most likely more newer. And then of course it usually has a waiting times from 4 to 8 weeks before you actually get the the car. And then a bit on the new cars. If you're actually importing the car and you're not in this industry and you're importing the car with someone who you actually don't trust, it's usually also considered to be very risky, because you definitely need to send the money to the person who is in the country of the car that you want to import, so that they can start the shipping process. So this one is also very risky. So here you need to identify, do I really need a new car? Do I really need a locally used car? A locally used car is readily available as I have mentioned. Unaweza kuwa na hidden cost, hidden charges, and then the last thing, it is usually cheaper upfront. Yeah, for locally used cars. So you need to identify. So the first purpose is define the purpose of the car, set a realistic budget. If your budget is 1 million, the car should be 900,000, so that this one costs this one. And then you need to identify, do I really need a new car or a locally used car? The other thing is choosing the right car model, and this one comes in because of something I said about maintenance, availability of spare parts, availability of spare parts. Is that the car that you actually want to buy have spare parts in Kenya? Something else, resale value, because you're not going to own this car for your whole entire life. They usually say that someone in their lifetime, just a normal person who is not a car enthusiast or anything, they own 8 cars in their lifetime. So at any other given point, they will want to flip their car. So what is the resale value of that particular car that you want to buy? And the last one here is fuel consumption. How much fuel does that car cost? Fuel consumption, but now this one is heavily determined by the engine capacity. So here, maintenance of the car. German cars are known to be the best brands in the world, and they are very, 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 very comfy. They have the best specs, but of course when it comes to maintaining, they're usually a bit expensive, because their parts are also very expensive, and most of them, again, their parts might not be readily available at the moment. So if you want to change some parts, if you own a Range Rover, you need to wait for a few months here and there so that your part can actually be shipped to Kenya. So that is something that you should have in mind. Something else, availability of its spare parts. That's something I've talked about. The maintenance is expensive. Availability of spare parts, I've mentioned about how available the spare parts. I've seen newer car models coming into Kenya, something like Jetua and all those kind of Opel. So you need to know, does the spare parts belong here to Kenya? And also, do the mechanics who fix our cars here in Kenya have the knowledge of fixing the car model that you actually bring in? Something that is also very important to know. The resale value, I've mentioned about just a normal cars owns around 8 typical cars in their lifetime. So you definitely need to know, to the time that it will come that you need to flip your car and own another car, will it still hold its value? And then the last thing is fuel consumption. That one is heavily determined by the engine capacity of the car. So I will definitely want to list down a few brands. So we have Toyota, the ones that are popular in Kenya. Then we have a Mercedes. And then we have an Audi. Then we have Nissan, and then we have Jeep. A Toyota holds its value the most. We have Isuzu as well. A Toyota holds its value the most, and then these ones are Germans. A Mercedes, Audi, or even a BMW. These ones are German machines. They are expensive cars to own, very comfy, but when it comes to holding their value, they are very low. This one holds its value. A Nissan is somewhere there in the middle. It holds its value. Sometimes it has the worst resale value. A Jeep doesn't have a good resale value. It's a car that originates from America. Then you have Isuzu, holds its value 100%. So those are the things that you really need to consider before you actually get to make a choice of which car brand are you really looking forward to own in Kenya. So it's something that's very important and something that you really need to consider. You need to check the market prices. So that you avoid being overcharged. You can compare online from a few cars of, if you want to buy a Prado J120, how many are there in Kenya that are actually being sold of the same spec, because different specs comes with different pricing models. So of the same specs, how much is it going for, so that eventually when you're working on showroom and you want to buy a car, you already have a rough estimate of how much this car should be going for, so that you don't find a car should go for 2.3 million Kenyan shillings, and then you walk into another showroom, someone is telling you the car is going for 4 million Kenyan shillings. Also, the same thing should give you a reverse thinking. If a car is costing 2 million Kenyan shillings, then you walk at a yard and then someone is selling at 600 Kenyan shillings, 600,000 Kenyan shillings, also should raise a lot of alarms. Like, why are they selling under the market value? Is it a car that has been stolen? Is it a car that is problematic? And so on and so forth. Because this is actually very important. She should have a rough estimate, ask around from people that you know who deal with cars, walk around in a few showrooms. And right now with online, it's actually very much digitized. You can be able to come like to Terava Motors on www.teravamotors.com, find the cars on our website, compare the prices, and then from there you can actually get to tell and be informed about this. And this one we say, when you have knowledge, it actually saves you money. Number 6, which is the most important step, inspect the car properly. This is one of the most important parts to check. You need to check the gearbox of the car. And the gearbox, we have manual, and then we have and automatic. You need to inspect, is this still 100% functional? You also need to check the engine condition. What's the engine condition of that car that you want to buy? We have different engines in different kind of cars. So for Prados, we have the D4D, the 1HZ, the 1KZ. For the Toyota Hiace, we have the 1KD, we have the 2KD, that are the diesel engines. And then we have the 1TR and the 2TR, that are the petrol engine. And then you need to also get to hear what are people saying, people who have owned these engines before. You need to check mileage on authenticity, mileage authenticity. Yes, you need to check the mileage authenticity, because some other guys, they usually reverse the clock to hide the mileage that the car have actually really covered. You need to check this very carefully. You need to log into their NTSA Teams portal account. You need to check the accident history of that car, the accident history. Has this car been involved in an accident? And previously I have done a video on this YouTube channel showing you how you actually find out if a car has been involved in an accident. First thing first, if a car has been repainted, if a car has rust on it, or if a car has parts on its joint that looks that they have been done welding, kuchomelewa, the welding part of it, it needs to raise a lot of alarms. And if it actually has more newer spare parts that have been changed to the car in most different areas of the car, it actually needs to raise alarms if you've actually been involved in an accident. And then check the chassis of the car. You need to compare it to the one on the logbook, and then check the one on the car, so that it doesn't have to be tampered with and then they have replaced on it. And then on this whole process, I advise one thing: come with a trusted mechanic that you know who knows more about cars. Let them do the work for inspecting the car, because they deal with this on a single daily basis. They deal with the gearbox, the manual or the auto, the engine condition. They know how to check the mileage. They know how to check if a car has been involved in an accident, and then they know how to check the authenticity of the chassis. So get a trusted mechanic and go. Let them help you with point number 6. So the other thing you need to do, it is to test drive the car. That is number 7. Test drive the car. And most preferably, if you are the one to test drive the car, be the one to drive the car. Be the one to drive the car. Accelerate the car, brake the car, listen to the brakes, to the shocks of the car. The shocks, are they still in good condition? Listen to the shocks of the car. The other thing is steering. Listen to the steering. Is it still in good condition? That you have the steering fluid. And then listen to any unnecessary noises coming to that car, be it on the interior or the exterior. And then listen then observe the comfort of the car. Whenever you're getting to test drive, accelerate the car, brake the car, check the shocks of the car, listen here carefully on the steering wheel if it's still in good condition, the noises, any unnecessary noises come from the interior or the exterior, and then of course the comfort of the car. The other thing we need to do is to verify the documents of the person who is actually selling us the car. We need to verify the documents so that you don't get to be sold a car that has been stolen before. So here we verify documents. And what I mean by this, the fastest way to verify the documents of a car that someone is just about to sell you, you need to log in into their NTSA Teams portal account and check how many cars they own from there. You can check from their driving experience to how many cars they own. Then you can actually get to compare with the car that they're actually selling you. So the first thing they need to give you the ID. So here you demand for the ID of the seller. You need to check the chassis number, the one that's on the logbook. They need to give you the physical logbook of this car, and then check the chassis number, the one that's on the logbook. If it's the one that matches the chassis, the one that's on the car. And then something else, you need to check the NTSA records. Of the car, who owns the car and who is the person who really tells you they want to sell the car. Are they the one matching the ones that are actually on the records? When you are done with the whole of this process, now let's come to the process of now paying for the car, where money is actually usually involved. Negotiate. The next step is to negotiate for the car. Never take the first price that someone gives you. Buying a car, you're not buying it in the supermarket. Not like the way you find goods on a supermarket being sold at 10 bob and you end up buying at 10 bob. When someone tells you at 10 bob, you need to buy it at 9 bob. You need to tell them they need to give you a good, better rate that goes downwards but not upwards. And you need to use this for your negotiating power. And then something else that's very, 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 very important is the payments. The payments. How are you paying for this particular car? Some people pay cars in cash money. They carry money with bags. Which is not recommendable, and it's actually very risky. Others use the bank, which it is the most preferred method of payment. And then others use phone transfer of funds. This one is also recommendable. So the reason as to why we don't recommend cash, some money might be for fraud, and then someone might have fraud some money, and then they came bought the car, and then all afterwards you see the police coming to you because people brought you money with no proof of payment what they were actually purchasing the money for. If it's a bank, they always provide receipts. They always even go to an extra handle of asking for, where is the sales agreement of this car, this person who wants to buy this car and this person who wants to sell their car? Where is the proof of this business transaction? And then when they verify that, they transfer the money successfully. And then something else, fund transfers here is also very, 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 very well, because it can actually get to be proved why the transaction was happening, how much they actually sent, and from who to who. And at all costs, avoid cash transfer. Someone might even bring you the money and then send some people to come and steal the money they actually brought you, because they know you have the money in cash. So the other very important thing now here is ownership transfer. So what happens here? Now here you need to log in into your NTSA Teams portal account. NTSA Teams portal account. They will have initiated transfer from their side, and then from here you log in into NTSA to accept. But before you accept here, there will need to be something we call the transfer fees. The transfer fees. Now here I told you it depends on the engine size of the car. The bigger the engine, the lower the transfer fees is actually gonna be. And then we will get something called the consent that will be sent to your NTSA Teams or portal account. And then when you log into it, they will send a consent to ask you to accept a vehicle that is tried to be transferred to your name. A consent will be sent to you by NTSA to tell you that there's someone who's trying to transfer a vehicle KD something to you. Would you accept it? And then from there, that is where you will input again the place of where you really need to collect your new logbook based on the county that you actually come from. Is it Nakuru? Is it Namanga? Is it whatever place you want to really, go and collect your logbook from? That is actually where you'll actually get to put it there. Get insurance immediately someone gets to transfer you the car. Get your own insurance so that in case of anything happens, immediately you leave the showroom, you're able to be compensated. Get your insurance immediately. And what this really says about it, so we have two types of insurance. We have the third-party insurance, I mentioned about it, and then we have comprehensive. So based on your budget, the one that I actually talked about, you know which insurance you should get. And the insurance is usually to cover the car so that in case of anything happens to the car while on the road or while in motion, it's actually able to be covered. And you as the owner of the car now, the owner of the car, even if you're not the one driving the car, but the car has insurance, you are able to be compensated by the insurance company. So third-party insurance, just to mention a few things that you actually need to know, that party insurance only covers your car. You see, if your car is on the road, other cars are also on the road, and an accident can happen where your car runs into another car. So that party insurance is cheaper and very affordable, but it only covers the car that you actually hit. It only covers the car that you actually hit, but it never actually covers your car. But comprehensive covers both your car and the other cars on the road. So whatsoever you hit on another car on the road, it actually covers both of the cars. So you'll be compensated to repair your car, and they will repair the car that you actually hit. But if it's third party, they will only repair the car that you hit, and they will not whatsoever compensate you for your car repairs. Number 13, the car is all yours, and the next thing you need to do is to go and service the car. Let the car start with your own service. And this one I've talked about the most. Don't trust someone else's service, even the person who was selling you the car previously. Don't trust on their service. You need to go and start with your own service. Start with your own service. Go do your own service. Let it start with your own service from there. And finally, in capital letters, the car is all yours. So here you need to budget for monthly maintenance, fuel consumption, and how you're actually going to be taking care of a car. And this one, I've said it here before, if you take care of your car, it will actually also take care of you. So from the whole process of buying a car in Kenya, what do you really learn the most? Because I feel like many people jump all those processes that you actually mentioned of buying a car in Kenya. They do this, they jump this, and when you jump any of those processes, it will actually get to cost you, even if not now, but most definitely in the future. So now that I have explained the whole process about owning a car in Kenya, we are Terava Motors, and we can help you choose the right car in Kenya. First of all, what does Terava stand for? Your trusted experts. A trusted expert. You need to find someone who is very trusted and who needs to be an expert in that industry. Trusted experts in very reliable cars, automotive, in cars, value and affordability. You need to get value for your money. So as Terava here, we sell cars. We can help you buy a used car, that's a local used car, or import a new car in Kenya, and guide you through the steps based on the whole process that I've explained to you, what really suits you best, so that whenever you're getting to buy the car, it gets to be the car of the right purpose, the car of the right model, a car that has the best resale value, and still get the whole value for your money. There's something that's appearing on your screen right now, and we call it Biz isonge na Terava. Angalia Vans, angalia Vans, angalia Vans, angalia Vans. And the schools are reopening. But now you know these Vans, we sell it to different diverse markets, from school to churches to foundation to football teams to the great people of the public service vehicle. So Biz isonge na Terava, here we accept lipa mdogo mdogo, because you guys are people who are in business and you actually need this. You don't have the full amount of money for you to own a car here at Terava. Why and worry not. If you can actually be able to pay half of the amount, we can be able to finance you the rest of the money, and then guess what? Hiyo ingine unaweza lipa pole pole. So Biz isonge na Terava is very much possible, is very much here, and the only number to call us through is it's here 0742 59 73 98. Biashara isikwame na Terava wako hapa. Tuko hapa kusukuma biashara na Biz isonge na Terava.